No way. Ain't no way. Oh, I'm glad I didn't say something weird. Trying to figure out a way to hook my... Hey, Melody. I am early, obviously. Trying to get this set so that we can all see it. Down a little bit. There, that's good. Hi, Miss Lena. I enjoyed your stream today. Trying to get situated here. Whew, I think I'm ready. Except my cord won't reach my iPad, which I have behind me here on its stand, so I can keep an eye on what the feed is doing. And then my laptop's here, and the chat is in black. Yeah, that shimmery stuff is kind of fun. I'm like you, I don't use it much. Lord knows I've got some. Well, last week I got my Black Friday stuff. I got my Tim Holtz Distress crayons and my alcohol inks. So everything is in a tin. Hey, Linda. And organized, and I'm slowly making my way through. Kind of proud of myself. It's not perfect yet, but kind of proud of myself. Anyway, what time is it? Oh, we got 10 minutes to fool around. I've heard that before. One thing I haven't been able to find yet is the power cord for my compressor for my spray gun. And it's never been anywhere else in the studio except right here to my right on the shelf. I've taken everything off the shelf. I've crawled around under it, behind it, looking for a stray plug. Can't find one. It's really unusual. Weird, not unusual. I'll find it when I'm not looking for anything else. And I fixed the broken knob on my Rolodex thingy. I didn't intend for that to happen, but it's got a bunch of stuff stuffed in here. I mean, I did some catching up out of there. And it works. I used E 6000. And these are some cards I just had rolling around in here. That's my pattern. And see if I can get this where y'all can see. It's pretty good lighting, really. Anyway, my knob's back on. And the post office refunded my money because they broke the knob. And here are the Distress Oxides that I played with the other day. They just do wonderful stuff. And I was so organized, I wrote down there what colors I used. case I wanted to duplicate them. That one's pretty. Look how pretty those colors are. What do you do, Linda? Love that. And because it's a pigment and a dye ink together, it has a longer open time, meaning it stays wet longer. And if you dry it and then put other colors on top, they just sit on top and almost build layers. They don't interact with each other unless they're wet. I just think that's just cool. Here's another card from, let's see, this is from iCat a Day, Index Card a Day, 2016, I think. Or maybe early 2017. I don't know. I was sitting with Shannon Green and she was doing it. So I thought, hey, that's a good idea. I think I'll do it. Did 4. Hi, Katrina. My puncher wasn't exactly perfect. It's just a fun way to play with color. If I were doing doodling, I could come back and doodle. But I sometimes like just the colors by themselves. This is a pretty color combination. There's that one again I like. We're just killing a little time until it gets straight up 4. I hope I'm not on top of anybody's video. Here's another one of the iCads. I think we were sitting at Canvas Corp that day. That was when she was still messing with them. I was too, for that matter. Okay. So, get in there. Get in there. I found this little guy on Getting Old is Wonderful. eBay. I try to remember not to put undue strain on that knob. And it can sit right there beside me. Well, that's cool, Linda. It's going to be so nice in here, I swear, guys. I moved my encaustic warming tray. Let me show you. We'll mess up that beautiful. Now, don't look behind it. That's stuff that's sitting on my electric warming tray that's on its way to be put up. Look how much space I have. I've got tools. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Get back up there. There. I have tools in this one. I have pencils. And that bottle doesn't belong there. It was on its way to being put up. These are my grease pencils and my, what do you call those things? Stabilo all pencils. And then this one has pens in it. Isn't that cool? Oh, wait. And this one has my intermediate watercolor brushes. Sitting off over there by itself. And that was the sauce we messed with last week. Let me get that on back in there. Anyway. And tools could probably be over there. And then, these are my good watercolor brushes. So I feel real good about, I just had these mixed in with those and it wasn't a real smart idea. I haven't even used this brush yet. This is a silver black velvet. I don't have flats in watercolor. No real reason, but my first tutor didn't use them, so I decided I wouldn't use them. Good reason, right? All right, it's almost faux. And let's see, there's that. And then all the way to the bookcase. So look at that. Where is Shauna? Can't see what? Melody? Melody. Those brushes. The good ones? So here are the good ones. And I put my, yeah, these are watercolor. I put my Art Secret from AliExpress in here because they are so similar to the Isabees. This one's an Isabee. The black one's an Isabee. Put that over some light so you can see them. And they're real squirrel hair. And, I mean, they're not made in France, but they could be. No, I meant the France ones could be made in China. Oh, well, there's the difference. Silly me. This one, the copper ends are braided together. And this one, they're twisted and cut off. There you go. This is a Jean Haynes squirrel mop. If you want to work on big pieces of paper, you got to have big brushes that hold a lot of water. That's what I got in here. I've got some Cheap Joe's lizard licks. These are good for different kinds of strokes like lines and stuff. And they're not expensive, but I'm keeping them in here because they're real hair. And I've got the Cheap Joe's Lizard's Lick, which also comes to a real fine point, and it carries a lot of water in its belly. What else do I have? That's another Jean Haynes. This is an Escoda Kolinsky. That's a expensive booger there. And then I've got my Charles Reed brushes. He was my first teacher. So there's that one. Now you want to see the other brushes? Okay. We have a few Hake brushes. This is where I have my inexpensive calligraphy brushes because I love the way they work. Calligraphy, there's a lot of calligraphies in here. This is an Escoda Versatile. It's a synthetic Kolinsky, and I don't like it. It split in two places when I was working with it. Back in there. This one's kind of fun. It's a low Cornell. They're calling it a dagger, but straight lines. Robert Simmons. These are just kind of odds and ends of stuff. These were the first watercolor brushes I had another teacher here, and she said, oh, these are good enough. So not knowing nothing. What is this? Can't find it. This is a low Cornell, maybe one of these others. Series 7020, and they're synthetic. They do a pretty good job, but I keep them in my secondary pan. My secondary one, here's another calligraphy brush that's a filler, and a couple of little bitty brushes. I get the Art Snacks subscription every month, and a lot of times they'll have these little brushes and a tube of paint or ink. Or last time I got a new pit pen set. It was like 4 pit pens with a brush tip. So anyway, that's my, there's a Cheap Joe's scrubber. I don't use it very often, because those things tear up your paper. And sometimes, and here's a junk mongoose, I think. I don't have any markings on it. Oil brushes do not last very long. So when they're done working for oil, you move them over and work them on pastel or mixed media. So that's why the long handle. So that's that bucket. I feel so good. Yay, Vicki. Anybody sneak in? Nope, don't see anybody else. In my cleaning yesterday, or I've been working like an hour a day on it, maybe 2. I found these little books that Randy had gotten me a long time ago because I said I needed some really old books. And I know our friend Rosemary Morris could find tons of uses for these. But it just kind of breaks my heart to tear them up, even though they're in poor repair. And they're from libraries. I don't know what to do with them. And this one reminded me, excuse me, of the coloring books that were printed with little dots. And I didn't know then what I know now. Those little dots were color. So they just deposited the drops. And then when you went over them with your wet paintbrush, it turned into color. That's what this one reminded me of. And it may be because this one's really colored. No, I think those are real print. So anyway, 2 of those. And this one is a nice cover. But it's too good to tear up. Rosemary said, give me that book. Give me that book. I don't know. This is a sewn binding. Let's see what year. 1990. So that's about 20 years old. And then Lena is correct. Somebody said they were collecting praying watercolors, so nothing doing, but I had to get them, and I hope Patty Patrick sees this and wants hers back. This thing does come out, and I don't want to push it all the way back in there because I had a devil of a time getting it out. In fact, I used a pliers and moved that edge out a little bit. But look at this one. This one's looks older. I don't think it is. Now, somebody used this a lot. But if I wanted to, I could just come back in here and squeeze a little bit of color and use it. Okay, there is that. Oops, don't do that. Don't do that. All right, now move them out of the way. The only thing I'm missing in here right now is a flat space to put stuff. Okay, stay. But I'm working on that too. And yesterday, I got to catch y'all up. Yesterday, I just had a quiet day in here, and I thought about streaming. And then I thought, no, I think I'm just going to do it by myself. So I did this. And this is, y'all remember a couple weeks ago when I was doing jelly printing and stamping on plain old tissue paper? And this is the stuff with the glitter in it. And I've had this orange paper on rolls forever. This is another jelly print. I love jelly prints. That doesn't even look like something I would do, but it is. And this is a piece of the paper that we dyed at Rosemary's. I've got a dark corner over here because my computer's doing it. I mean, it's in the way. that better? A little bit. This was one of the sheets I made on live that ended up being all metallic. The problem is you just can't see it that well. You can see the shimmer. And this is the white in here is where the paint actually lifted up. And there were a couple of spots where the metallic wasn't sticking too well. What I did was took the Magic, it's supposed to be Magic, Tim Holtz glaze, distress glaze. Now this is what you do if you want those index cards I showed you. If you want those to be waterproof, it's a real sticky thing, and you put your pad in here for your Velcro, and it just stays in there, and then you take your wooden tool and do that. Anyway, once you do this on the distress inks, you can go back over them with other stuff, and it makes the colors brighter for some reason. But anyway, that's supposed to be gotta have stuff. But I did take that and go over this page. I don't think it's that kind of a sealer, but I just didn't want big old hunks of it coming off. Anyway, we made this paper in Rosemary's. Melody, you weren't there that day. It was back this summer. We missed you. Most of this page was just rub-off stuff. I added the strips and a piece of the paper. The rest of it was already on there, so I just played with what was there. And these string things were already there, and I already decided I don't really care if I don't really care for them because, you know, they're kind of, you get the same result every time, pretty much. I did it on this side, and then, well, no, hello, you do it like this, so you get a mirror image. Isn't this pretty? That's another piece of the deli papers I did a couple weeks ago. Come on. There you go. And all this blue and everything was still there. So that's what I did yesterday. I had a fun day. And look, I don't have very many pages left. This will be the first journal of this type I've finished all the way through. And I'm in love with the glue stick. So anyway, there's that. That's all the show and tell. Now I want to use these crayons. And I'm going to do something in here. I have to warm this up. This is my, what the tape's doing on there. Custom keeper. This is when Shannon Green was playing with alcohol inks last summer, just to see what they would do in the resin. And this was one that she brought. She said, don't do this inside, because I thought my table was level. I'm warming it up. Thought it was level. And when I went back in there, most of the resin and the ink had slid off onto the table. So somehow she scooped it up and just threw it on here. And this is the result. I said, I need that. So it's my job to work with it and make sure that the holes don't pull out or metallic-y. And it warms up to your touch. And, oh, well, the reason it's so irregular is because this is the one that she had to mop up. So I think I was the one that suggested just do a clear resin on top of this. It'll make it thicker. And that will encase the first one, because all these little pointy edges and stuff are so cool. And you'd lose them if you didn't do something with it. Isn't that pretty, Lena? It's about ready. I can take one out. And I know y'all have seen this. I found this too. Oh, Lena, you'll enjoy this. I don't know if you have seen it. Maybe I did that one upside down. This was when I first started working with gouache. And I dearly loved the way this turned out. So then I did another one. That's colored pencil. This one. Isn't that cool? Such a matte finish, and I just remember working with it. It was like working with silk. Okay, we want this book out, and we're going to put this book in. Fold this up so it won't take so much room. This is one of Shannon's, the books that they make out of, they're good paper. They're not watercolory paper. These are just some, I don't remember doing that. These are just some doodles I was playing with. So now I want to do, to show you one more thing. If you guys have not been to Jerry's Artorama, and up in the header of their webpage, look for the word buy now. Try it and buy it. They have prices on there that you will not believe. Like you could get a 3-pack of these little canvases for like $2, and they don't put a limit on how many you can buy. And those are nice just to have around. I mean, I got aluminum panels I can do oil on. I got some Senseo canvas, which is a natural colored canvas, like, you know, regular canvas. So anyway, and they've got brushes. You could get, I think they've got Mimic brushes right now. They've got 2 for $2. They're not, they're, one I think was a rigger, and the other, I don't know what it was. But anyway, go over there and look, because it's really a cool idea. So what I was working with here, I want to get a real smooth surface for the alcohol ink that I got. And I don't think it's going to move on that. So what I probably am going to need is a baked gesso panel. I've got some Yupo, but I just wanted to try one of these. See if it, what? Get one. Hang on. I had some Pinata inks, which is the other major alcohol ink supplier. I got tins to put them in, because organization is 3/4 of the battle. So I got the little tin. It holds 30. And let's just try this and see if it does what alcohol ink is supposed to do. This was one I had already, and I put colors on the lids. Okay, Goose, you're going to need another color. Now, you don't want this to soak in too much. It's the whole thing. And the alcohol pushes the previous ink out of the way. It's working pretty good. Maybe not as good as Yupo, but so this is a gessoed canvas, and it was already gessoed. This is another good way to play with color. Nope, I don't want rust. What do I want? What do I want? Lettuce might be nice. Didn't mean to get it on my book. Lettuce isn't showing up a whole lot different than the oregano. I don't know why I didn't go ahead and get the blending solution while I was at it. Hey, Rosemary, I was just talking about you. And that should just help liquefy it some. I am experimenting with whether a layer of gesso on a regular canvas board will help things move a little bit. And it's not working as well as Yupo. I've held off on really getting serious about alcohol inks because I don't want to just do this kind of stuff. I want to actually do something that looks like a painting. Of course, y'all know me. I can't do anything just for fun. Let me get some of this off because I want it to be real light. The turquoise is really pretty. Thanks, Lena. It's hard to watch chat and do something too. So you just keep messing with it and just let it do its own thing. But I've seen some fine art in encaustic and on canvas and boards and cradle panels and stuff like that. They're really cool. It spreads quite a bit. So that's kind of a win. And what difference does it make on a board that costs 50 cents? I mean, come on. Or something like that. Okay. Okay. I mean, it's fun just to do patterns like this. But I want to push it, see what I can do with it. Hey, Amy. How you doing? I'm just playing. I got some new stuff and found some stuff and I'll throw this away. The problem with alcohol ink is that it is fugitive. So nobody knows exactly how long it's going to last. It'll last long enough for our lifetime, and it'll last good enough for journals. Put those away. That was the first avalanche, and it was just a little bitty one. It was that bag. A pencil. This would be the pencil bucket. No, that's the tool bucket. Janet Young, I think, is the one that does these scribbles, and I've never done them, so I wanted to. And I figured that'd be a real good way to play with these magic colored pencils. So the way I understand it, you just make squiggles, and that pencil doesn't work. That one will. Just make squiggles, and you don't lift your pencil. Oops, I lifted my pencil. That's okay. Nobody needs to know. Did that meat back, sort of. And I need to use the move that. Oh, and I found, this is something else I found. There's that teapot I was going to paint last week. Move the camera. This thing is really cool. It lays flat when it's done, but it's for holding books, recipe, cookbooks, and I also use it to paint with. It's got some encaustic on it, but it was like $30 on Amazon. It wasn't expensive at all, and it's really handy. I just had it stuck somewhere, and I relocated it. All right. I showed you guys these the other day. These are by Kohinoor, which is a Czech company, and they've got a very, very good reputation. These are artist quality, and this pack of pencils was $38, I think. But each has 3 colors in it, which I just find way cool. Pencils since 1790. They must be doing something right. There's our color. There are our colors. So my plan is, probably already dry. I got a blender. My plan is just to paint these different colors. Now the paper, it doesn't have any tooth. You can see that darker color coming out. It's red and yellow. I have no expectations. In the colored pencil world, if you can get the excuse me, these kind of gradients, supposed I mean, it would take hours to layer pencils and do all that stuff. That's what they would have you believe. Really takes a little bigger space for these to show off. Let's see what the blender does on here. I'm looking. Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, I didn't move my camera back. Let's go down a little bit. I can't do coloring, which this is about as close as you're going to get me to do. Not because of the skill level involved, but because of the attention that it, I don't know. I can doodle with a black pen, but coloring like this requires, if you're doing, see how you get yourself out of this corner. One of those intricate, like kaleidoscope things or those flora and fauna things, you got to think about which colors go where. In doodling, you don't. And there's some things my ADD just won't let me do. And if I try to do them, I just get sloppy. So that works really good. See, I'm just going all directions. But you get me sitting at the easel with some oil paint, doing a face. I can sit there forever. And you might ask yourself why I don't do more of it. I can't talk to you guys and do it. You'd be bored to tears. I don't remember which, I think it was this one. I didn't do that line real good. Can't see it. I'm having to look at it sideways. This is another thing. Lena, I noticed you today. You had already drawn your face. It's very difficult to get it in perspective when you're, it's laying down flat and your eyes are looking at it from an angle. Because you want your eyes to look at it perpendicular. This, it doesn't matter because it's not a figure. So just remember that. You need to prop your paper or book or whatever it is up at an angle. But then that too screws with the camera. I went out of the lines. It's about bedtime over at your place, isn't it, Lena? And you'll notice something else about these colors. Each is picked in a analogous fashion, meaning they're close to each other on the color wheel. So you don't see one with red, yellow, and blue. You just see blues with red and purple, or yellows, oranges, and reds. Is anybody working on something while we play? Y'all working on anything? Some of the lighter colors you can't really tell because they're light colors. Hey, Mary, glad you dropped in. We're playing with my magic pencils. They have 3 different colors of lead in each pencil. And they're just a tremendous amount of fun. And Janet Young is the one that does scribble drawing. So I thought that would be a fun way to play with these. At least with just pencil lines, if you go out, it doesn't matter. If I'd have done that. See, that one's very subtle. It's 2 or 3 blues. So you don't see much difference. And the reason I'm turning my pencil is because I want a color change quicker than coloring down the lead will get me. Mary, we talked about what a good girl I am because I've been getting the studio where I can use it. Were y'all here when I showed you my colored pencil? One of them. one I particularly like. Somebody said, hang it on the wall. You need that one up. So I did. My sweet Sarah was in 9th grade, and in her art stuff was, I don't know how they did it, and I won't ever find, well, it's like that. But it was this technique of a Picasso. It was really cool, and I just hate that they did it on junk paper. One of her pieces the teachers had framed for us. Sucks. And that's why I don't like this time of year. Y'all reach out to people out in the world, because there are a lot more people like me running around who've lost a kid than you would be aware of. And it's very, very difficult to make a decision to talk about it like I do with you guys. But that's the reason for my art school, and that's the reason that I bring it up, is to help other people who don't have that ability. Bye, Rosemary. Comfortable crib. I love it when people are in a conversation that the host isn't in, and then they come back in and read a statement that's down in the, the thread's been 2 or 3 versions up, and they don't have a clue what everybody's talking about, and they go, huh? That doesn't make any sense. Melody, any of these that we're in fact, I think any moderator ought to have have a way to message the host, because sometimes we just don't look up as much as we're supposed to. These pencils would really be cool if you were doing coloring books. But because the colors are analogous, you could really use them to great effect in, like painting a portrait or something like that. Because you do get such a soft blend. See, it looks almost like I used 3 different colors in that spot. That one needs to be, of course, I'm going to play hell finding the exact same color. Blend a little bit more through here. Like I said, this paper will only go so far in how many layers you can put on. Yeah, they do, Mary. Thanks, Melody. It'll be 17 years this year. It was the same year that the World Trade Center went down. I mean, you'd think after that long, but it's just like it was yesterday. I remember sitting on the edge of the second floor roof trying to figure out how a 50-something woman was going to get down off the gutter without killing herself. I hope none of you are ever in a fire. My therapist explained to me that the carbon monoxide poisoning makes your body shut down, preparing to die. So your digestive things that you don't need shut down first, like digestive system, and then all you're left with is fight or flight. It's weird. No, I don't want to bring down everybody, so let's. I don't think I'm caught up on that. So, what'd Mary say? She has to go. Oh, happens a lot on her channel. I imagine it's late night there. So is it for Lena? I watched an artist that I know post pictures of being in the south of France last summer painting. Golly, I miss France. I'd go back there again in a heartbeat. Of course, I've been there 7 or 8 times on art excursions. So many other places I haven't been, but I just love France. And another reason is because we're based in the country, in a little village. And my friends own an apartment in Paris, so we could always go in to the city and spend the day and come back to the country. And it's a good thing they knew what they were doing because I was lost as a goose. So pretty. Excuse me. That's better than sniffling. This is the alcohol thing. Isn't it pretty? Now, if it were me, I would come back in here with acrylic and paint a face on that background. That'd be fun. And you can get by the fugitive nature or something like this by taking good pictures when you get finished, and you can always have prints of it in case your original fades beyond recognition. That'd be kind of cool. I might do that. Oh, a few days ago? Oh, man. It took us 14 months to build this house and 45 minutes to burn it down. I hope everybody got out okay, Mary. Blend that out a little bit. I love my watch, but it gets real bossy. Time to stand. And then it keeps up with it. At the end of the day, it says, you can still complete that reading if you just do a brisk 30-minute walk. You want to go, shut up. Oh, I can't get in there, probably because it's the lightest color. Those are just grays. Oops. These are a little bit hard, but it could just be the paper. Paper's good for doodling, though. No, Mary, these are not. They're just wax. They've got an extra big size lead in them. I like colored pencil work. I see it. Why do I like that and I don't like coloring books? You know, I said that about the acrylic. I feel quite sure it would paint over the alcohol. It'll paint over nearly everything else. Oil might too. I miss my oils and my soft pastels and my watercolor. There's just not enough time in the day to do everything. And I look at my computer and I think, oh, I need to do some work on it. I need to clean it up. Need to do a bunch of stuff. And all I do is this. And at night I play about an hour of Bingo Bash and Angry Birds, because that way I can keep an eye on what's going on the TV, but it doesn't require all my attention. You definitely need a bigger area to get the full effect. Yeah, that probably is true, Mary. I worked so damn hard to learn how to do my own art. Didn't know if I was going to make it either. But the reason I started with mixed media was to learn to loosen up, because my style in oil painting in particular is very realistic. Not photorealistic, but realism. Look at that. That's so pretty. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm afraid that if you kept going over and over the same spot, it would eventually... I don't know what it would do. I guess you could figure out where your next... Most of this is purple right now. That's interesting. Is it this one? Yeah. Our weather went from 28 degrees to 58 today. Of course, that's not unusual for here. There'll be kids out in shorts and flippers. You want to grab them and say, it's winter. I mean, you may go to school this morning and it's warm, and you come back this afternoon, you're going to wish you had your Uggs and a heavy coat on. This one is browns. I gotta stick my head in there for a minute. I'm not getting all the way to the line. Damn grown-up glasses. Let's use that one again up here. You were at Rosemary's Sunday, weren't you, Melody? My driver had to be at work bright and early Monday morning, so we didn't make it. Mary, you just put out so much work. Who just came in? Linda. Hey, Linda. We're playing with my magic pencils. Or I'm playing with my magic pencils, let's put it that way. I'm not getting a whole lot of help, so. If y'all weren't here earlier, these pencils have 3 colors in the lead. And they're 3 analogous colors, so you don't get a whole lot of contrast. And the colors are next to each other on the color wheel for the most part. Oh crap, that wasn't supposed to be, but that's all right. Wiki screwed up. Write that one in your books. I think these would be easier too once the once the lead is away from a point. Which means these might be good, better served to sharpen them with a knife. Or just get the wood casing off. And they are triangular, which is very comfortable to hold. No, it's the 3 colors. I'm sorry, Linda, I didn't see it. The 3 colors are in the lead. And get one that's a little easier to see. This looks like a mauve color and actually it looks like blue, but it's this mauvey color. And it looks blue, but anyway, just another. This one has orange, dark brown, and a gold and ochre color. Very subtle. If it was a kid's version, they'd have red, blue, and yellow, or, loud colors that contrast rather than. So if you were a colored pencil artist and actually making pictures, I may have to try that. If I were doing a face, these pencils might really be cool because it's going to look like you shaded with 3 or 4 different pencils and you really only used one. That might be kind of fun to do. These run, I think I said $38 on Amazon, and you can go to my store. In fact, I'd appreciate it if anybody wants anything if you go to my store. It's bit.ly, capital V for Vicki, capital R for Ross. Anytime I buy something, I just put it in there. A, so I can find it again. And B, so that I can make a few cents off each purchase. I think I made, with Google ads off my videos and the Amazon store, I think I made $7 last month. Woohoo. Oops, I already used that one there. Hey, every little bit counts. I am quiet today. Blend on that one a minute. And this is the blender that comes with. Works pretty good. And I guess I could come back in with the pencil below it with slightly different colors. Or one of these. Or oh, you've got green in there. Bye-bye. You can't put green in there again. Oh, now it's telling me to breathe. And they don't mean to just take a breath. They mean do a meditation for a few minutes, which wouldn't hurt me at all, but I'm not sure what was going on there. Isn't that pretty, Mary? I could come in on this one. Let's see. This is gold, orange, and brown. I could come back in there with maybe this one that has some blue in it. Doesn't have any gold, though. I want something with some gold. And I don't see it. I'm just using a real light touch. These are fun. Look at that. I just have white spaces where I'm not seeing it. Maybe shut one eye. I've worn glasses since I was in 2nd grade. I was one of those blind kids. And then Randy and I had RK surgery in the 90s, late 90s. And then it started kind of wearing back. And now I was at a minus 900. I mean, my glasses were bad. So right now I'm at a 20/30, which isn't bad at all. And it was the best thing going then. The ophthalmologist said, well, we kind of started having issues with RK people. Okay. But I went completely without anything for probably 20 years. It's hard to chat and work at the same time. It doesn't really show a whole lot of color variation. I need to show y'all. Maybe Thursday I will. I started painting large portraits of grandkids, and Betsy's, that's our daughter. She was 16 when Randy and I got married. Anyway, when she started popping kids, I thought, oh, that's cool. I'll do a portrait of each one of them at the same age, wearing the same hat. So I got 2 of them done. I am 3 behind now. She's had 5 kids in 10 years. And we'll probably have another. Blending really helps. Do, 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 do. And then I've got a portrait of my daughter when she was 3 that I need to finish. I don't know where I'm going to put it because we live in a duplex. It's just like a small house. It's 1,400 square feet with a fenced yard and garage and all that stuff. But when I first started painting, one of the early instructors I had also did framing, custom framing. And I would paint outside of class. Most of the people that were in that art group just painted on class days. And every time I'd finish one, she'd go, "Oh, great, let's sign it and frame it." I was her best customer there for a while. So anyway, all those early paintings are in custom frames and mats, and they're harder than hell to store. So we just got them all hanging up on the wall. Now when I paint something, I do it on like my soft pastels, I just put them up on a shelf, have it'll come to me in a minute. It's a special paper, similar to wax paper, but it's not. Glassine, that's what it is. And put a piece of that over it so the paint doesn't, or the pastel doesn't smudge, and sits up on a shelf. Stack them up. We don't have any galleries around here worth of crap. It's hard to be an artist these days. I sell most of my stuff to people that I know. And the commission, like I showed y'all last week or 2 weeks ago, the encaustic commission. So I just play with these, stuff like this. It's fun. All right, there's that. I'm not quite sure how that line made itself, but it doesn't matter. I think the pencils do better for this kind of stuff when the colors are a little further apart in contrast. But if you were using them for real colored pencil work. I think you'd want them this way. Must be getting cooler outside. Nope, 52. It's a little cooler. I took my hoodie off. Keep trying to brush off that alcohol ink. Ooh, that one's hard. Check on that. Melody, they're hanging like they do in England, where you just fill the wall with frames. A decorator would have a fit, but we're past that stage of life with decorators and stuff. See, this one has more contrast, and so does that one. But that's okay. I need to think of a way to use these in real art. Real art. I'm sorry. It's all art. And if y'all are back on Thursday, remind me and I'll show you those portraits. But I need to go ahead and get them out. So come back. Let's try that over. Come back on Thursday and I'll show you those portraits. That's better. Did you do the needlework? Oh, vintage. Never mind. Read it closer, Vicki. I used to do needlework. In fact, designed patterns for counter cross stitch and needlepoint. Lost every one of them except one. And it had been hanging in our office. But if y'all get to know me, you'll know I was getting bored with it. And there wasn't any challenge anymore except how long can you sit there. And that's where art is different, because there are so many different things and no one ever really masters art, which means it's always a challenge. Which holds your interest. Some of these are softer than others. It has to do with the pigment that's in the pencils. It just blends right into that one. Okay, where are we going to go now? I'm almost through with this, and then I'm going to shade them a little bit. Got to remind myself to look up. You may have done more embroidery work, maybe? So that was the rigid side of me, because I enjoyed knowing exactly where to put those stitches. And that's what I've been trying to break, that habit with art. It's been interesting. And this has been, this kind of work has done a good job helping me realize that you don't have to do everything that's all perfect. Like watercolor. You are not going to control watercolor. So what did I pick to work? First medium, watercolor. It's funny that that's what most beginners start with. And it's not the easiest. That's why I start my students out with oil. Ain't that right, Melody? That just looks like brown. Well, that's really all it is. Brown and gold. Y'all need to make sure you're on my mailing list because I do a blog once a week, except for last week I haven't. Yeah, sometimes you just run out of things to say. I know that's hard to believe with me, but by Jove, I believe we've got it. There's a little bit right down in here. Let's just carry this one on down. I just broke the pattern of the what do you call it? It's not string art. Anyway, whatever this is. Now let's see what we can do here. I'm going to pretend my light's coming from here, which would mean I thought Rosemary left. Oh, she's back. Not any on that. Well, maybe a little. Yeah, see, because of the paper, it won't let me apply too many layers. Aw, thanks, Mary. I teach the stuff that I had to dig for, and it took me 10 years to put all the pieces together in a way that made sense to me. So that's the way I teach. I don't do mixed media in the class, though. It's just basic art, if there is such a thing. I'm not getting a whole lot of bang from my buck doing this. Ooh, come on now. Oh, softer lead. I don't care what kind of art you do, you are an artist. You could be a cooking artist. You could be a garden artist. There's many different kinds of art as there are people. It's interesting when you get into one of them, then dig down into the more advanced stages of whatever it is that you're doing. You'll be surprised how many of the things that we do today, even like this, that was done in ancient Japan and China. From collage to fabric dyeing, paper dyeing, marbling, which I've got marbling set up. We need to do that someday. I kind of feel like I need to experiment with it first, so I kind of know what I'm doing. Well, shading might be helping a little. That's just in your face. I don't know that I would ever do this again, but it's fun to kind of see what the pencils do. See, 2 hours, that's about all I'm good for. I can switch. I can go to something else and keep going. I don't remember if I did anything there. If I did, it's too light. Oops. I just colored outside the lines. No, I don't, Rosemary. I looked and looked and looked for one a couple years ago, and I ended up getting the it's by Plaid, and it's just a little better than a kid's craft, but I can make silk screens with it. And I think the ones I did find were very pricey. That, there could be a bunch of them out there now. You've got the room to be able to have it. And I think you should really look hard to find one, because then you could make silk screens for us. Well, I'll keep my eye open when I'm searching. People sell those too. I mean, they sell what they make out of the Thermofax for good money too. And since you're already doing shipping and stuff, see, that's another thing. I'd have to have somebody else pack and ship. It's just not in my... Spoken like a true princess. Okay, I'm bored. Now, that pen is a little too thick, but we're going to do it anyway. See me getting sloppy? I was like this in school too. Probably in today's schools, I would be on AD, be on that Adderall or whatever that stuff is. That wasn't very straight. If Shannon Green were doing this, it would be perfect. This looks like doo-doo. And then smear it. Oh well. me. I'll leave a message. Sorry about that. I've got a doctor's appointment this week. I'll probably get talked to again about needing to walk more. It's real funny that I can do the doodling like I did in front of this book. Idiot. There, good enough for a journal. Anyway, I can do this kind of stuff long time. But there you have it. And it's too late to start anything else. Bye, Linda. Amy, make sure you're on the mailing list. I'll be doing a webinar. Actually, the way it works is I tell you that if you're interested, you sign up. You add your name to a different list within my big list. And that way I don't bore people who aren't interested in taking it. So I'm hoping to do it at the end of December. Start probably mid-February. And you can study it anytime you want to. We might start earlier than that, since the first group of people have already gone through it. And everything worked like it was supposed to. So anyway, Axully, AXULLY.com, and that will get you on my mailing list, because that pops up on the website. Are you buffering, Amy? Damn it. Well, we got through most of the day, I think, without a whole lot, didn't we? Well, I just butchered that. All right. I'm going to close this up and look at the alcohol ink again. Let's see. Almost fell over. It'll make a mark with the colored pencil. I don't think it would work that well, though, because this kind of got a sheen to it. And we didn't get to this book. That's what I was kind of hoping to do. Gosh, I wish I could remember who recommended this book. It's just kind of a mixed media thing with step out directions, and I thought it might be fun to play with. It's using collage, and I won't do the writing and stuff, but it'll be fun for this. For what we're doing here. Always learning from other people. That's what you have to do if you want to get good. Okay, guys. Okie dokie. I'm going to log off now, and I will see you guys later. Over and out.